The John Cardinal Foley Chair in Homiletics and Social Communications is a faculty position here at St. Charles Borromeo Seminary. The particular focus of the position has to do with communications, both in the traditional way of preaching the good news, but also in the way of social media nowadays as a mechanism and really an environment for evangelization.
In every age of the church has always had to adapt and to respond to the circumstances of that day. And that goes all the way back to the very beginning.
For 2,000 years, the church has existed to do precisely this, evangelize, which is another word for go and make disciples, right? Go and draw the human race back to God.
Today, we have a whole new world and a whole new venue for the proclamation of the gospel in social communications.
The church recognizes that the human race has entered a new time in history. There are things, in a sense, transpiring in the culture now in the Western world and the entire planet that simply never existed before. Social media being one of the really key new things that just hitherto has never existed.
Pope Benedict and now Pope Francis have really emphasized that. We have to be out there. We have to make sure that the voice of Jesus is being proclaimed on the internet.
Their entire lives are engaged in the digital realm. They're engaged in social media. They're going straight to their phones. They're not asking their mom or dad or their friend anymore. They're just searching for those answers. The church has the answers. Jesus Christ is the answer. We need to learn to enter into that realm. It's just a fact.
Cardinal John Foley, of course, the chair is named in his honor, in his memory. After his graduate studies in Rome in philosophy and then in New York in journalism, he came back and taught on our faculty. At the same time was the editor of the Catholic Standard and Times in Philadelphia.
Made famous, of course, in the English-speaking world as the voice of Christmas, as he was the translator for the papal midnight masses, which in his position running the Pontifical Council for Social Communications, one of the great insights he had was the power of television.
He did use a computer. He used it for the information that was immediately available. He got up every day at 3. He said, I like to have an hour to watch the news because that gives me a sense of what to pray for the day.
He left an indelible mark on our lives as a first of all, an outstanding priest, a great intellect, but one who a long time ago was tuned in to the importance of the effective proclamation of the gospel. And when he went in 1984 to become the president of the Pontifical Council for Social Communications, he was at cutting edge.
And understood that this is how you bring the message, not just the message of the Pope, but the message of Jesus Christ to the world by means of the way the world communicates. That's the inspiration behind the chair.
We'll say this about the Foley Chair, though. One of the most consistently important and central ways that the gospel is proclaimed is through homilies.
I have an idea that preaching and homilies were really the first social media. There's communication that exchanges ideas and communicates information. But when you think about social media, the idea is really to build relationship, to connect people.
If you talk to most Catholics, that's where they hear the message of the gospel explained, and then where they get the food and the nourishment to their souls so that they can apply the gospel to their own life.
Because the whole point of a homily is not to communicate information, but to build a relationship with Jesus.
And sharing what we have found in that relationship. If he really is, the Lord of the universe, which I believe he is, then naturally I want to share that with as many people as possible. I want them to find and to have, what I have. If I'm preaching a relationship with Jesus, well then it better be real. It's got to be something that really touches human experience.
One of the things that has to be a part of the church's outreach, even through social media, is that it has to be communicating this really, the inner dynamism of life with God. It's dynamic, it's full of life, it's full of joy, right? And so these things have to be going out in the message. So by the way, the graphics that we use, right? The pictures that we're posting.
I think the church is beginning, and she has, it's like she's done it throughout all generations, to
to enter into that realm, to present truth in a realm, in an area she might not have entered in the past. And then that needs to translate of going from the digital realm, that little bit of communion, into a deeper sense of communion outside the digital realm.
People these days are becoming so accustomed to relating to each other electronically and really not so much anymore in person, right? But the gospel itself is an embodied in-person communion.
We meet them in the digital realm, and then from there we bring them back to the parish. We bring them back to the Eucharist.
And this is where the gospel has to kind of penetrate social media and call man out of some of the mentality behind it.
The seminarians have already begun to do this, actually. You know, we have a blog, Seminarian Casual, which the seminarians themselves created, putting messages out and using it as an opportunity to talk about seminary life, to talk about issues, current issues.
They're going to go out and they're going to try new things. They're going to try to enter the digital realm to bring people back to the faith, and then to give resources to share the truth, to strengthen those who are in the faith, that we keep on going on this journey together.
They have to understand the opportunity that's there. They also have to understand the risks and the dangers. Wherever there's a good thing, there's always a risk as well associated with it. I want them to have that consciousness. I want them to be committed to knowing that opportunity and using it effectively.
What we have to explore with them is the theology behind it, or around it, or impacted by it, but also to get them to understand that moving forward, by the time they're priests in parishes, this is the way people communicate. And so everything they do from a pastoral point of view is going to be impacted by the social media.
Boy, I'm on Facebook, and there are a couple of folks I know who post article after article after article. And, you know, some folks don't like that. You see some rants every now and again about the 7 most annoying things that people can put on their Facebook statuses. But it does provide still an opportunity for folks who are looking and searching, and that social media does become an outlet for them as well to say, well, hang on, maybe I don't have someone I can talk to specifically about this question or this challenge or this problem that I have. But you know, I know it's floating out there.
The seminary will be collaborating with groups like the Catholic News Service, the Catholic Publishers Association, Salt and Light Television in Canada, and even the Pontifical Council for Social Communications at the Vatican.
It's an exciting time to be in a church. It's an exciting time for young men. And I don't know what the guys behind me are going to bring. Maybe the guys are in grade school now, growing up with iPads, iPhones, learning these languages of technology. How are they going to be able to deliver the faith in ways that you and I could never even imagine?
The professional communicators, the lay folks who make videos and who run television stations and radio stations, and now, of course, anybody and everybody in the social media, they're the ones who know how to do this.
I want to bring you and show you the joy that I have found in my relationship with Jesus, and that I think is a huge challenge, but it's one that has got to be faced and accepted and overcome, really.
We're very, very proud of him and our association with him, of course, and he loved St. Charles until his health was such that he couldn't stay here anymore. After he retired as the Grand Master of the Knights and Ladies of the Holy Sepulchre, he came to St. Charles, and we were so blessed to have him in this community here among us. And I know that he was told just before his death that this chair was to be created in his honor. And I know, although I wasn't there at the time, my predecessor as rector informed him, I know that he was very, very touched and very, very happy.
I am delighted that this chair has been established in his name, because that will help us to remember some of his gifts. His universality, his commitment to faithful truth, and I meant faithful in the sense of filled with faith, his hope for the world, and his utter gratitude to all that came before him, that gave him the opportunities to share with others that will multiply, I think, especially through this chair.
you.